Welcome to the City of Bethany's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, March 3rd, 2017, 7 p.m. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Crouch to give our invocation.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great day and this great nation that we live in. I pray for the commissioners up here and the people gathered out in the audience, that we listen, understand, and move city government forward. Pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Amen. We'll move to the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discussion or comments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. Thank you. Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body to the City Council. The City Council may approve, decline, or change the recommendation of this commission. Tonight, we are only going to have one item on the agenda. Item 1, which is PC 16-09, consider a special use request by Wayne.
1701.
Oh, I apologize. PC 1701, consider a special use request by Steve Smith, applicant for the purpose of building a 1,200 square foot accessory building at 3806 North Rockwell Avenue.
Good evening, Commissioners. Once again, we find ourselves looking at a special use permit for an accessory structure. As the Chairman led in, this is an application by Mr. Steve Smith. Mr. Smith is the owner-occupant at 3806 North Rockwell, which is also the location of the proposed structure. The application is complete and correct in form. And again, we like to cite 159.044B4, which requires a special use permit for any accessory structure greater than 240 square feet in a residential zoning district. And we shall see in a moment that this building is over 240 square feet and it is located in a zoning district, and hence we are here tonight. This is an aerial photo, kind of get everybody in where we are. This is Rockwell. This is 38th Street. The red rectangle is the subject property. You can see it's surrounded by residential on three sides, multifamily residential across Rockwell. Again, for bearing, this is the new Children's Center construction going on over here on to the east. The primary structure on the lot is right there. There's a swimming pool in the back, and this area right in here is the proposed location for the new building. The current zoning is R1, single-family residential, and that was one of the reasons, or one of the conditions for a special use permit. The comprehensive plan is the subject property is shown as the downtown. I'm sorry. Let's get it back. It's shown as the downtown mixed-use proposed central business district expansion. That is this dashed orange line right here is where the comprehensive plan proposes to expand the CBD out beyond where it normally goes right now. The comprehensive plan targeted districts map also shows the subject property in the what they call downtown Bethany mixed-use district. Why it keeps doing that, but again, the dark dashed line is what they've outlined as the expanded central business district for the CBD zoning. Finally, we get to this plat that the computer wants to keep going to. A little red or yellow area is the platted area, and this is a platted lot. In the past, it has been subdivided up into three separate tracts. The applicant has submitted a restrictive covenant binding all three of those tracts back together, should this be approved. That would make it just fine as far as it being one parcel with a primary structure on it. The next page is water line. There's an 8-inch water line that runs on the west side of Rockwell, which would be considered plenty for any residential use. There's the sewer atlas, and I would like to apologize to everyone because our sewer atlas sheet does not show the atlas or the sewer line extending onto the subject property. Mr. Smith has assured us that they do have city sewer, and our atlas sheets are not always accurate, and it seems there's to be inconsistency. We did find an as-built drawing from 1987 that shows an extension coming off of that manhole, so staff is convinced there is sewer serving that property. There seems to be some inconsistencies between our atlases, our billing, and our as-builts and everything else, but again, I wish I could say that was unusual, but it's not entirely unusual, so we do believe there is sewer on that property. There's a photo from the county assessor. It shows the primary structure. You can see it's a very nice looking single-family residence, brick veneer. The height of that primary structure, according to county assessor data and the application, is 16.5 feet at its highest point. And from this photo, we were able to ascertain the roof slope on the primary structure is 412. This is a site plan that was submitted with the application. It's kind of sideways. What we normally north is up, but on this one, north is to the left. Rockwell is down on the bottom, so you can get your bearings. The primary structure is over on the right. Let's see if we can make that pointer come back, which I don't think I can. It's over on the right. The new building is right in the middle, a 30 by 40. There's a swimming pool behind the primary structure. The proposed structure does meet all the setback requirements for any kind of a building on the lot. This is one of the detail sheets that was submitted. The main thing we want to look at here is, you can't see it on this, but the roof pitch on the proposed structure is 312. It's 15.8 feet high, and over in the right-hand corner there is an engineer's seal and signature, which is required for any metal building of this type of construction. Okay. Mr. Clemmer, I apologize. I did not include a grading plan in this one. There are a pair of inlets right out front on Rockwell. The whole lot is flat as this tabletop. So if you wanted to put a note in there to grade it to drain to Rockwell, that would be fine, but that's where the drainage goes. Again, I know engineers love grading plans, but we don't have one tonight. Okay. Now all the fun's over and we get into the legalese and the things that you guys have to endure when I read these. But these are, the ordinance does go through and enumerate the general criteria to be used when we evaluate any special use permit. This one is no exception. The first one is whether the proposed use shall be in harmony with the policies of the comprehensive plan. The maps, as we saw, associated with Comprehensive Plan 2030, show the property as downtown mixed use and part of the downtown Bethany mixed use district. The key objectives of this district are to increase capacity in downtown for additional shops and stores, to create a critical mass of pedestrian-oriented businesses, to upgrade and redevelop downtown to improve the appearance and pedestrian environment, to expand the central business district to form a true center for downtown, and encourage ground floor retail and upper floor residential with proposed mixed-use development. Again, it's not entirely clear that intensifying a residential use would necessarily meet those goals. Unfortunately, our current ordinances are written for the old comprehensive plan, and the new Title 15 ordinances have not yet been crafted. I believe this is the third one in less than a year that have had this same issue come up. But anyway, again, we have the same seemingly inconsistent in the ordinance and comp plan. The next item is whether the proposed use shall be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the applicable zoning district regulations. The current zoning is R1. The proposed structure is accessory to a residential use. There is no issue there. Whether the proposed use shall adversely affect the use of neighboring property. This building is 1,200 square feet. The application says it will be used as a workshop, storage building, personal use. Other than possible aesthetic objections to a large metal building, there's no inherent adverse effect on the neighboring property. Whether the proposed use shall generate pedestrian and vehicular traffic that is hazardous or in conflict with the existing and anticipated traffic in the neighborhood. Again, it's accessory to a single-family residential use, won't generate any significant traffic of any kind. Whether the facility presents a health or safety hazard to neighboring properties or the community at large. There's nothing inherently unsafe about a building that is accessory to a residential use. Any steel frame building of this type would require the seal of a licensed engineer or architect, and you saw in the plans, these plans do have that seal. Whether the facility is to be located in proximity to elementary or secondary public or private schools or other incompatible uses. The proposed building is not in proximity to any incompatible use. Whether utility, drainage, parking, loading, signs, et cetera, all the public facilities necessary to serve a residential use are either present on the property or adjacent to the property, so there's no problem there. And whether the facility has obtained all necessary permits to operate under the laws of the state. There are no operating permits required for residential use. No home occupation would be allowed in an accessory building. A building permit will be required prior to construction. All inspections must be completed before we would issue any kind of a certificate of occupancy. Next are the more specific conditions, which are spelled out in 159.044C3, I, and J, and those previous ones were general conditions, and these are additional criteria specific to accessory structures in R1 zoning. I'm quoting, "The City Council may impose specific conditions regarding the location, design, operation, screening, and security to assure safety, to prevent a nuisance, and to control the noxious effects of excessive sound, light, odor, dust, or similar conditions. The council may also impose specific design requirements for accessory buildings to assure that such buildings are aesthetically compatible with the surrounding neighborhood." Again, the proposed structure is a standard metal building. The council may impose additional design requirements. You guys can recommend additional design requirements. The next one is that the height of the accessory building measured at its highest point shall not exceed the height of the primary building. The height of the proposed building is 15.8 feet. The height of the existing house is 16.5, so this one is just a little bit shorter. The accessory building shall not be used as a dwelling unit. The application states that the building is to be used as a workshop, storage building, personal use. The roof pitch of the accessory building should be the same as the predominant roof pitch of the primary structure. The roof pitch of the proposed building is 312. The primary structure is 412. So there's a discrepancy there. I would point out the use of the word should, not shall, but should. An accessory building shall not be located on a lot occupied by a primary, or lot not occupied by a primary building except on lots larger than 2 acres. The proposed building is located on a lot occupied by a primary structure with the restrictive covenant that has been provided. If the primary building on a residential lot is destroyed or removed and not rebuilt within a 2-year period, the accessory building shall be removed. That's just information only. The applicant should be aware of this restriction should something happen to the primary structure. And last but not least, the accessory buildings approved as a special permit use should not exceed the size, in size, the greater of 50% of the gross floor area of the primary building or 10% of the total recorded lot area. The proposed building is 1,200 square feet. The gross area of the primary building is 2,865 square feet. So 50% of the primary is 1,433. That's more than 1,200, so the building is fine under that criteria. 10% of the total recorded lot area is 2,275 square feet. Again, the building is less than that, so the proposed construction is within the maximum size limitations based on the existing structure and the lot size. The department has received 5 written protests. I believe they were included in your packet. Most of them were concerned with the compatibility with the neighborhood and possible effects on property values. So in conclusion, there were basically only three known possible issues: possible inconsistency with the comprehensive plan, possible aesthetic concerns of a large metal building, and that the roof pitch is less than the primary structure. The required action tonight would be to make a recommendation to the City Council. You can approve, deny, or approve with conditions. I believe that's all I have for the staff report. I would be happy to answer any questions. The applicant is present if you would like to ask him, but that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Caton?
Mr. Caden, I called you the other day and asked about the number of references to the sewer. I believe you said that was concerned that if it were not sewered, the concern would be whether the building would be covering laterals from a septic.
That would be the normal concern if it was, yes.
Okay. But then we determined that there was a sewer line to the,
To that lot, yes.
would we not have determined that by looking at the city records for billing for sewer service?
And we did that at the beginning of this process, and there were no records of sewer service at that address. So between the Atlas sheet and those billing records, that was what the original, in the staff report, that was where our conclusion came from. But when we talked to the applicant about it, he assured us he did have sewer, and that prompted us to look further into the as-built drawing cabinet, and we did find an as-built drawing of a very shallow sewer line serving that lot.
And what was the date of that?
1987.
87. Has there been no charge for sewer service?
I can't tell you that certainty because it's not, I'm not in utility billing, but as of today, there's no record of them, of that address paying for sewer service.
So for 30 years, we have no record of,
We looked back and we were not able to find any plumbing permits or anything like that for a sewer tap or any of that, but I can't speak to what might have happened 10 years ago or whatever as far as when it was or wasn't paying for sewer. But as of today, there are no records of a sewer service at that address, building-wise.
so there's no, the city's receiving no sewer revenue from that location?
Not as of today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caton.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to ask if the representative party of the applicant would like to speak to the commission.
This is a first for me, so
Welcome.
I do believe that the building will be very nice looking. It'll, not be an eyesore. All we've done since we've moved in that property is improve it. When we moved there, we had to replace.
Speak to
When we moved there, we had to replace the roof. We did it out of our pocket. We put in a nice circle driveway. We removed trees that was eating the foundation. We've done a nice swimming pool that was just a frog pond when we got the place. I spent like $20,000 and got the pool where, we are definitely improving that property. We put up a nice privacy fence out front. And I just want to continue improving the property. And I don't believe that this building is going to take away from improvement. And Mr. Westmoreland, when he was talking in that one meeting, when he was trying to get his seat, he said that we're going to improve residential and commercial in that area. So I do believe I'm improving what I'm putting in there. So that's about all I got to say.
Mr. Smith, how long have you lived at that location?
12 years.
12 years.
We bought it in 2005. There's other people that have owned that property before, but I realized when I had it surveyed that it is actually my property. It really gave me a kind of a
I'm sorry.
It gave me kind of a awakening that property is mine and my wife's. It's not the people that used to own it, so.
Right, exactly. You want to be proud of your property.
Yes, sir.
Looking through my notes here, it says that the color of the building is going to match the house.
It will match the house. I've had the paint on my house is what the siding's gonna be, and the trim's gonna be brick red, just like my brick on my house. It's
Okay.
gonna look really nice.
Okay, and also, is it going to have 2 doors facing the west?
We will have 2 garage doors, because that's the only way I have access only way I have access into it will be from my front 16-foot gate I have on there.
Okay, so will that be the primary way to enter the building, or is it going
Yes,
to be
sir.
a door?
That'll be about the only way to get into the building will be the garage doors, and I'll have one side door on the side.
Yes, so it's okay. So we'll have one side door on the side,
Mhm.
as far as so you don't have to open the big doors.
Right.
Right. Windows,
3 windows.
3 windows. Okay.
Mr. Street, I had a question about the size of the building. There are many houses back behind it that are not much larger, if at all, than this structure. Why do you need such a significant size structure?
There are several buildings around Bethany that are 30 by 40s or bigger. I mean, the gentleman that came with me has a 40 by 60 at his property, and 30 by 40 is really not that big of a building. I strung it out there, and it's not that big of a building. It's maybe, average. That's what I think.
And you're of the understanding that you can't run a business out of that,
Totally.
and if you were caught in that,
I
there's
wouldn't.
going to be fines and problems and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. I'm not into running a business out there. I work too hard. Me and my wife own a daycare center, a child development center, and I build cars in Yukon for a living, and I work way too hard to be trying to do that.
So it'd be for personal use only.
Personal use only, yes, sir.
So you don't hire out to repair anything, rebuild something?
No, sir.
So, as you heard, we have got some letters of interest
Yes, sir.
over the deal.
I read all of them.
Okay.
And I actually did sell a Mustang on my driveway to try to help open our business up. And then a young man that worked with me needed to move back to Ohio, and I did sell his car on my driveway to help him have money to move back home. So
Right,
I have sold cars on my driveway, but
right. But, you can see why neighbors would, want you,
Yes,
if you're going to
sir.
sell a car, it'd be for personal use, not,
but
the
same neighbors have sold cars on their driveway too. so-
Right. But, because that's probably the concern of maybe those that haven't sold their cars. It's like, if it's for personal use, we all have to put a sale in our driveway somehow. So, as long, as long as it's just not a car factory.
Yes, sir.
Right.
One of the concerns I have is the aesthetic compatibility and the suggestion that the roof pitch should match that of the residence. I'm not an engineer, but it would appear that if that size structure were at the same roof pitch as the house, the 412 versus the 312, it would challenge the height of the primary residence. Was there a reason not to match the roof pitch of the house?
The actual people I'm buying the building from that's going to install it has a 312 pitch on the roof, so I didn't know special order it or anything. It comes with a 312 pitch, so I didn't want to change it. So it will be a 312.
They don't make a 412? You didn't
I'm
check?
sure I
to
could
see-
special order a 412, but the exact plans that they drew up were exactly a 312 pitch without me even saying I needed a 412, so.
The width of it that faces Rockwell, is that the 30-foot side or the 40?
I actually had it at first 40-foot facing that side, and then they told me I had to have a 20-foot leeway on the north side, so I turned it to where it's 30-foot wide facing Rockwell now,
Okay.
and it's,
And the top edge of the roof is then running east and west, or north and
it's-
south?
the pitch of the roof will face Rockwell like this.
Okay, so the peak of the roof will run north and south, because Rockwell runs north and south.
The peak of the roof, no, it will run east and west.
Okay, it'd be perpendicular, thank you.
How high up the building will the brick go?
I'm not planning on bricking the building.
I thought you said before that you were going to use the same brick you used on the
No,
house.
I said it will match the house. I didn't say it was gonna be bricked. The
Okay.
colors, the trim will be brick red, and the siding will match the color of my siding on my house.
Okay. Have you ever looked into what the cost would be to brick at least a portion of it?
I've not priced it. I've not looked into it.
All right.
If I absolutely had to brick the front of it, I guess I could.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioners, do we have any more questions for Mr. Smith? All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to remind the audience that this is a public hearing and ask if anyone would like to speak on the subject. Please come down and state your name.
My name is Janet Short, and my husband, James, and I live at 3810 North Rockwell, which is the property just adjacent to the proposed structure. And we built our house and have lived there for 57 years, and we can probably answer some of the questions about the sewer and all that was put in there. We originally owned the lot on which this application is requested. We had no knowledge of this request until we got the letter from or hadn't been approached until we got the letter from the secretary of the committee. And we just feel that a 1,200 square foot accessory building near the front of this lot between residential houses is just not appropriate, would detract from our home and the neighborhood. Maybe if most buildings like this seems like are on the back of the lots or farther back. And we would just ask that you not approve this request.
Are you on the north or south side?
North.
North.
Any more questions for Mrs. Short?
Mrs. Short, you said you could provide us information on the sewer.
I'm sorry?
You said
Well,
you-
well, we have records back when we built the house and had to have the sewer run. There's one, Jim can probably explain it better. Yeah, it's behind the property and then it slants up to our,
Just a couple more questions here. So are you opposed to a building in general, or just where this one's at, or the size, or can you go a little bit more depth?
well, it seems awful big for a 60-foot lot there, but it seems like it'd be better if it weren't right on toward the front of the lot.
Ma'am, if the building was more aesthetically pleasing or matched the current house, would you be more inclined to withdraw your objection?
Well, we'd have to consult, but if there's too big, are these garage-sized doors or
They're
Higher.
10-foot doors.
10 foot?
right on the front of it? Wouldn't look like a house anyway to me.
Probably look more like a garage, but.
Yeah. But I just don't know why
But
it
if
has
it
to
was
be
to
that.
match the house with,
near the
say,
front of the
brick,
lot.
would that be more acceptable?
If what?
If it was to match the house with a brick, at least a brick facade, would that be acceptable?
Not necessarily where on the place on the lot where it is.
So you just prefer it be relocated farther back on the lot?
It just seems more appropriate to me, but
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Short. Anybody else like to speak on the subject?
Hi, I'm Brian Dickey. I own the lot at 3804 North Rockwell. And I really just, I guess, have a question. Is this, I haven't seen the plans, is it on a slab, and is it going to have electric to it as well?
It will have electric. It will be on a slab.
Okay,
No plumbing.
no plumbing. And how close is it to the front of the property?
30 feet to the fence.
30 feet. Okay.
I'd be glad to share my drawing with you if you'd like to look at it. That's my well down there. You can take that and look at it if you want to.
He didn't protest. He just wanted to know.
Commissioners, questions or comments?
With some rough calculation, I find that the height of the structure would be, if it was a 412 pitch, 15 feet, 7.5 inches. And that would be taller, almost as tall as it was 16, what?
16 and a half?
8.
This actually was discussed to bring the pitch up and reduce the wall height from 12 feet to 10 feet to make up for the difference, but that was not deemed what the applicant wanted to do. And it was discussed that it would, if you went higher than the primary structure, now you're into the realm of shall, which is prohibited, and the pitch is just a should. So the applicant decided to stay with the taller wall height and lower roof pitch instead of get up against something that would be a hard stop.
Okay.
So,
So this is a 12-foot sidewall, and the residence itself is 8? Okay. Well, aesthetics are a matter of personal taste, but I think a secondary structure, particularly a metal structure on a major thoroughfare, is not generally accepted as being aesthetically pleasing. To have something that's 1.5 times the face to the street. I'm also more concerned about the lack of harmony with the Comprehensive Plan 2030, because this is an area that's likely to have significant enhancement in value and desire with the expansion of the Children's Center that's bringing in so many more high-paying jobs. And the Children's Center has a requirement, as I understand it, that their employees be in a position to return to work on a 15-minute notice. In fact, I believe during inclement weather, they take over a full floor of the Holiday Inn to have access to their facilities. So the comprehensive plan anticipates that this area will become increasingly demanded for residential, including the density, and this type of structure would not be compatible at all with the stated goals of this section of town. I have a real heartburn on it not meeting the comprehensive plan goals. And, you know, when you have 5 neighbors that are objecting, that doesn't bode well for its future as it gets to the city council. Not having brick might or might not make a difference. The roof pitch, if it matched the general roof pitch of the surrounding houses, it would then be higher than the supporting structure. In my mind, it's just aesthetically challenging, plus endangering the purpose of the comprehensive plan that was adopted back in June of last year.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because I understood the comprehensive plan was going to try to utilize Rockwell as a place for commercial development down through that area at some point. And included in that was some of the shops with residential with that shop. Is that correct?
That is kind of correct. There is
Well,
also
that's
another
typical
mixed-use
me.
district along Rockwell, specifically called the Rockwell Mixed-Use District south of there. This particular lot is associated with an expansion of the Central Business District to the west, but it also has mixed-use development as one of its primary goals. So, yes, you are correct in the use category, not necessarily in the named district category, though. But this would be the difference between the Rockwell corridor and the Central Business District. The key is the Central Business District is exempt from the 12 dwelling units per acre cap. So you could have a much higher density development in this area than you could on Rockwell to the south.
But the primary building, get back to your other issue, the primary building is 16 feet 6. And if my hen scratching here is correct, even with 412, it would be shorter than the 16.6.
It would be how much, what was your hen scratching? I'm sorry, James.
Let me go find it. 15.7.5.
Well, currently it's 15.8.
No, it's 16.6 is the residential
All right.
existing primary building.
And the new one is 15.8 with a 312.
Yeah, well,
412.
yeah, with a 312, but with a 412, it would be slightly taller.
taller than the supporting structure, the original?
No, taller than the 312 proposed, as proposed.
Well, how much taller?
Well, that's what I said, it's 15 feet, 7.5 inches.
With, the structure is 30 feet wide.
Yeah,
Half of that's 15.
right.
15 foot times 412 is 5 feet of rise. It's got a 12-foot wall height plus 5 feet of rise is 17 feet at the peak, which is more than the 16 and a
Okay, so
half.
my hen scratching's
So-
wrong, according to
Yeah,
you.
and this was the discussion we had with the applicant, that if he went with 412, he would be
Oh, okay.
over, and he would have to lower his
Okay.
wall height down.
Okay. But I don't find the objection you do with the comprehensive plan.
Commissioners, any more discussion?
I guess I struggle a little bit here with my commissioner to my right here, along the same lines, just with the physical size and the way it looks. Don't get me wrong, I'd love a shop like this in my yard. That'd be awesome to do a lot of stuff here. It's just the location and whatnot. It just, I think it would stick out, a little bit more than maybe we want on a major thoroughfare. I don't know if there'd be any consideration in moving it back and making it smaller, just things I'm throwing out. At least from, one of the residents here. I don't think anybody's opposed to somebody putting a building on their property. It just looks a little.
Is your mic on?
Little big to me. Yes. I'm just not speaking loud enough.
Okay. Well, would it make any difference if we ask him to put brick in front of it? To brick veneer it, the front?
I just think the size is really huge for right there. I
Is
mean,
there
that's just
room
my
to put it
opinion.
further back? I
Maybe.
don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. Just
We
discussion.
need to ask Mr. Smith. Or did that come up in previous discussions, Mr. Caton?
No. The only thing that would be in the rear would be a 20-foot setback on the back, but there is already a smaller accessory structure, and I believe a dog run back there, so there may be, and then that's kind of back where the pool is as well, so I don't know if there was some interference there, but it wasn't discussed. The only discussion we had as far as the setbacks were when he had it oriented with the long axis north and south, he was getting into the side setbacks, so that's why he oriented it with the long axis east and west.
Do you know what side the garage doors will be facing? Which direction?
Is it the south
It's rock.
side?
West.
Garage doors, the overhead doors?
Facing
west
Rockwell.
Okay, on the west
Because
side.
the plans clearly state that's wall's 40 feet.
The long axis is 40 feet, yeah.
I thought he needed to be 30 feet.
The site plan I have, the short side is facing Rockwell. Correct?
The 30-foot side is facing Rockwell, and that's going to have the two doors on it, correct?
But on page 17,
Yeah, you're right.
the doors are shown on the 40-foot wall.
Yeah, the building plans show the overhead doors on the long wall. So, right, so are the doors on the north side or the south side? But that doesn't match your site plan. I see. So I guess the building plans do not reflect where the actual overhead doors will be. They will be on the west side, according to the applicant.
And Mr. Caton, if you have any idea if they would run into any kind of lines or anything if they did move it back? Is that still clear to move it? Or is utility?
I
all that-
wouldn't know.
you
Those
wouldn't
would be
know?
all private anyway, and we wouldn't
They
have
haven't
any
done, because
record.
I noticed it hasn't been called, have they? The utility people on
Not
this?
that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
Well, the freehand sketch that we have does show the 30-foot
Right.
facing
The-
Rockwell.
Right. The original site plan the applicant turned in showed the building oriented with the long axis north and
Okay,
south.
so
It-
this got changed, but the
but
drawing from the
that's right.
manufacturer did not.
That's right. The building plans did not get changed.
Okay. Are you sure they can get those two doors on the 30-foot side? You've already asked them that. Well, the reason I ask is because they're showing their columns 10 feet apart, and you've got two 10-foot doors. You might end up with smaller doors. I can see the reason for leaving the doors to the west. But you can't brick that side because the doors won't work. And that's one of the things to make it more aesthetic, is to brick the side.
Any more discussion? If not, I'd ask for a motion.
I will make a motion that we recommend denying the request in that it is not aesthetically compatible. The comprehensive plan 2030, it is not in sync or harmony with the comprehensive plan, and the objection of the neighbors.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Please vote. Item passes.
Motion
This
passed.
item will be heard by the City Council on March 21st, 2017 at 7:30. No other items are being shown on tonight's docket. So, before we go on, I handed a note here as I got in. Commissioner Sayre took a bad fall and was put in the hospital. That's why she was not here tonight. So we need to keep her in our prayers. Commissioner Snyder, our thoughts are with you on your loss.
Thank you.
Anybody, any of the commissioners have anything else to say? Oh, wait a minute. I do have I got more notes here. Hang on. Hang on. Welcome, Mayor Westmoreland. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'd like to welcome Councilman Shari, and also would like to welcome new Councilman, Mr. Palmer. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Then I've got one last thing to cover. After great thought and prayer, I've decided to resign from the position of Planning and Zoning Chairman of Bethany and as a P&Z Commissioner as of Friday the 3rd of March 2017. I have a few health problems that need to be addressed, and there's some new avenues I wish to pursue. I've enjoyed my time with the commissioners, staff, and all those involved with the City of Bethany. I am leaving with ample confidence in the new city manager, a great new dynamic mayor, and new councilmen that have fresh ideas to take Bethany into a positive direction. Thank you to all of those who have supported me in this assignment, staff, always keeping me informed and willing to answer my questions, no matter how big or small. Mr. Davis, for the guidance in the law and the zoning questions. Commissioners, thank you for the great thoughts, knowledge base that you have provided for me to not only learn, but to excel with. To my vice chair, for not only covering me for when I was absent, but for the teachings and the wise words he shared with me to help me make a knowledge decision with information based that was always good advice. And with those final thoughts, I say thank you and goodbye. Is there a motion, or is there any more questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, we thank you very much for your guidance, your thoughtfulness, and the humility that you brought to the position.
Thank you.
And your patience and perseverance.
Thank you.
You've been a good leader. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been a pleasant and teachable experience. So with that, I would ask, is there a motion to dismiss?
I make a motion we dismiss.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. Thank you, everyone, and we are dismissed.